So which Loomian are you going to pull out in battle if somebody sends a Duskit after you? What about any of these other starters? During this video, I'm going to tell you exactly which Loomian you want to pull out if you see one of these other ones in battle against you. Alright guys, well when the trade resort came out after that during the announcement, we saw that they said what they're going to be working on next is the Battle Colosseum, which means very soon we're going to have PvP and we're going to be doing a lot of battles against each other. So then that is the question. When we go into battle and we go up against these various types of Loomians, which one is going to be the best to send out against all of these? A lot of people are going to be sending Duskits at you, and then there's all these other starters and they have something that they're weak against, every single one of them. So we're going to go through them one at a time and just look at which one would be the best one to go against any of these. So let's start here with the Luminami, or a water type. If you've got a water type and somebody's pulling that one out in battle, the water type we're going to look here is weak to plant and electric and toxic. So we don't really have any toxic that we've approached, so we can't actually pull out a toxic. If you pull out an electric, so if you want to fight them with a Weavolt, you are strong against them, but also just remember they're strong against you. So electric and water both do double damage to each other, so that one's still going to be a bit of a wash. So the best choice if somebody pulls out one of the water type or a Illuminati or a Dripple or that kind of evolution is a plant type, which would be a Feevine. So recommendation against the water type would be a Feevine if somebody pulls that one out. Next one we're going to look at here is the Vesperatu. So this is a dark type Loomian, and if we're going to take a look here at the chart, they also have a secondary type. I'm thinking there's still the main type, and we're going to count on them basically being weak to that. I don't know, maybe they'll have, I think they're going to be able to have the secondary type moves, but I think they're still going to have a basic weakness to whatever their main was as a starter. So this dark type is going to be weak. Let's look up here against a fire and a light and a bug. So I don't think we have any that were particularly a bug type, but you found some of those in the wild. So if you found any of those bugs, easy to tell which ones are the bug types, like the grubbies and that kind of stuff. But the light type is a good one, and so is the fire. So let's see, the eaglet. It looks like the eaglet is the light type, and the fire type is the embit. And again, right here, if we look at the dark type, its weakness is light, but if we look at the light type, its weakness is dark. So again, that's going to be kind of like the electric and the water. They both are very effective against each other, so it's going to be a quick battle, but it's a bit of a wash. So if someone pulls out their Vanbat or Vesperatu, then my recommendation is pull out an embit and fight them with fire. The third type that we're going to look at here is the Valkyrie, which was kind of it's the evolution of the eaglet. So this is the light type. We just looked at the dark type, so we know from looking at that the dark type is definitely something that it's weak against, but is also weak against metal. Unfortunately, we haven't encountered, that I know of, any metal types or anything with metal moves. Maybe something else a little further evolved has some metal moves. So that actually is saying Eaglet itself is pretty strong in battle. It's going to be really strong against fire type, and it's going to be really strong against other light types. So Eaglet versus Eaglet will probably be a pretty long battle because they're both pretty strong against each other. Let's see. So yeah, actually an Eaglet is pretty good at this point. You can do some damage to them with the dark type. Now don't forget, like the Vanbat Vesperatu would be strong against them, but also it's strong against you. So it's kind of like, again, those two are kind of strong against each other. So I guess metal, if we can wait for a metal type, but we don't have a starter metal type, so that's kind of a wash. And that is an indicator here that an Eaglet is a good one to have when it comes to battle, because it's not going to be weak against any of the other starters, really. Alright, so the next one we've got here is the Feevine, which grew into the Tatab, which is a plant type. And if we're going to look at the type chart over here, plant type weak against fire, so you can set the plant type on fire. It's also weak against ice, so I guess it's easy to freeze. Also weak against dark. Also weak against bug. Also weak against toxic. Wow, so the plant type seems to have quite a few weaknesses over there, but it's got a lot of strengths as well. It's got strengths against water, other plant type, earth type, electric type, light type. So basically the Eaglet's it's not going to be super effective against this thing. So if you do see a lot of people out in the battle with the Eaglet, then the plant is another good one that you can pull out. It's not going to be super effective, but it's going to be a hard time for the Eaglet to do damage to you. But again, there's a lot of options that they can pull out to do damage to you if there is a Feevine that's in battle. So I'd say pull out an Embit, against a Feevine, that would probably be the best, most effective. The ice is pretty good as well. And it looks like the dark is pretty effective, but the Embit and the Snow Cub are going to be the best choices. So someone pulls a Feevine out in battle, pull out your fire or pull out your ice. Those are going to be the most effective in battle against those guys. But just remember, yeah, the Feevine, it can be strong against some other types too. So that's another reason why it's really good to be diversified and have as many different types of starters and different types in your Loomian deck as possible. Those are 50 Robux a piece if you want to buy extra starters. I also give these away during live streams often, so make sure you're subscribed and you've got the notification bell on so you can show up and I can trade some of these over to you. You can train them up and then you have a more diverse team without spending Robux to do that. So, okay, we've got Himber over here, the ice, which was based off of the Snow Cub, is what it's evolved from. So if we're going to look at this, ice on the charts, of course, fire. It's pretty easy conclusion right there that you're going to want to throw an Embit out there if you see a Snow Cub or if you see a Himber. So yeah, for ice, if you have an Embit, use that one. Fire is going to be definitely the most effective. We haven't seen really any brawlers or metals yet, so as far as starters go against the Snow Cub, it looks like Embit's going to be the most effective. Otherwise, it's just going to be a basic battle. Going from ice over here to fire, we're going to check out the Seer Knight, which was the evolution of the Embit. I call him, he's my Chungus. He is a fire type. Now, if we look at the chart here for the fire type, the most effective, against that, water puts out fire, guys. So, of course, water is going to be really effective. The Dripple evolution, that one over there, the Illuminati, we're going to just call him the Illuminati. We're going to say that that is the best bet against there. There's some air types. It looks like there are some like if you can get the Albatross or something. I think that's an air type, and it can be pretty effective against it as well. But that is one that you find in the wild. Also, Earth type, I don't think we have a starter that is actually an Earth type. So, the best starter against a fire, against an Embit, a Seer Knight, of course, is a Dripple. You want to use water to put out fire. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, now here we're going to talk about the electric type, the Zulong, which is the evolution, of course, of our Weevolt. We've got this one built up pretty good, and we're going to look at the type chart, try to see which starter is the most effective against it. So we know, of course, that the water and the electric, they're both double damage to each other. So the water is going to be effective against it, but it's also weak against it. So again, that one's not really a good choice. Now, if we go down to the electric, the other one that's effective against it is Earth. But we don't have an Earth starter. But of course, you know, that makes sense. You know, Earth to ground, like the electric to a ground, makes a lot of sense. But that is the only one over there other than water. But then water, it's just, you know, they're both effective against each other. So that really doesn't matter. So much like the Eaglet, the Weevolt is another one that's going to be pretty useful in the battles. Because at this point, they can't really find anything in the wild that's super effective. Because we don't know a lot of Earth and Metal type that we can use in order to do that. So at this point, I mean, if you have a Weevolt and an Eaglet in battle, it's going to be a little tricky. It's going to be, at least, there's not going to be much that people are going to be able to pull out that's going to be super effective against you. All those other ones we listed, and now we know at least that there's going to be a lot of people here that are going to be pulling out their Duskits in the middle of battle. I can almost guarantee you there's a lot of people who have been out there catching Duskits. They want to have Duskits. They want to battle their Duskits, and they're just like ready to go with this thing. So the Duskit looks like it is a spirit, basically. It's got a secondary mind, but it looks like its main is a spirit. So if this is a spirit type, well, it's going to be effective against spirit type. If we scroll down here, it looks like light type is pretty effective against it. And let's see, other spirit types are pretty effective as well, and ancient. But I think I do have maybe one or two that I've evolved that have some ancient moves, but not our ancient like base type. So there are some ancient moves that you can get from other Loomians as well, but it depends on how far you've evolved them. Spirit type, you can take other Duskits and match them up against Duskit. So Duskit versus Duskit, they're at least both pretty effective against each other, but it looks like the most effective against a Duskit is the light type. So let's see, spirit type against the light type, that makes a lot of sense. So the Eaglet and the Valkyrie is going to be the most effective against that. So I guess when it comes down to it, if we were going to make a conclusion, like just assuming that during battle a lot of people are going to be bringing out their Duskits and various types of starters, it seems like an Eaglet is going to be a very valuable, or a light type Loomian at this point is going to be very valuable to have in PvP when that comes out. I mean, of course, when Route 4 comes, and Route 5 was, as they're updating, we're going to be able to get access to more and more of these Loomians in the wild, and we can get more types like Brawlers and Ancient, and we can kind of change this up, and we'll do an update on that as well. But a lot of these other ones that you see in here, let's see, this is a dark type, so same thing as the Vesperatu. If somebody brings out Eclectic, then you want to just anything that you'd use with the Vesperatu. A fire, let's see, a light, again, Eaglet, really effective. Again, just another reason why the Eaglet is effective. An earth type, though, now this is one that we don't have a starter as an earth type, but an earth type here is the Babor. I got this one from Lando. So what will this be effective against? So a Babor would be useful to have, let's see, against fire and electric. So if you want to go out in the wild, like we were originally just talking about what starters are effective, Babor is an earth type. So if somebody brings out a Weavolt or an Embit, then it's going to be good to have a Babor. So I recommend go try to catch one of those in the wild. Those ones are fairly easy to get. Let's see, we've got this one here, we've got light types, we've got dark types, we've already gone over those types. Now, one thing that's interesting as well, this Geklo is an electric type, so it's going to have the same sort of weaknesses as a Weavolt, but it does have some light type moves, so Geklo is something that's going to be effective in battle as well because it has light type moves, and the Eaglet is the light type. So it's going to be effective against Duskits, and it's going to be effective against Vesperatus and other dark types. So a Geklo is definitely another one that is strategic to have in your corner over here. Let's see the evolution of this one. Still an earth type over there. Let's see. And then we've got some over here that are like the bug type. Like the Swolder, there is some bug type that you can get in the wild. And there's just some regular normal typeless as well. But the bug type, if you can get one of these, let's see what these are effective against. These will be effective against like a Feevine, a plant type, and they'll be effective against a dark type. So like a Vesperatu or any of those other dark types. We don't have any mind type to talk about. So let's see, that's most of what we've got going on in here. Let's see, type check real quick here. We've got a bug type here in the Cinnamoth. Not surprising. Knew we've got a lot of bug type there in the wild. Now this is our air type, the Avatros. So like I said, if you can try to get one of these in the wild, another good one to have in your corner there, get an air type. Those are effective against Embits, and let's see, against some metal type, and let's see, Brawlers. But yeah, Embits, this one's going to be pretty effective, the air types. Yeah, as long as you can just remember all of those different types. If you see one of these guys get sent out here, then just remember Eaglet, use an Eaglet against him, or maybe even a Geklo, because they will use some light moves against the Duskit and take that out pretty quick. So I guess in conclusion, if we were going to wonder like which is the best for battling, I'd say the best starter to have is an Eaglet. So yeah, and it's probably pretty smart to go and get yourself a Geklo in the wild as well. And I hope this has been helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, just let me know in the chat or in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you guys later.